Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Matic then, shall we? So it's my squeaky chair, and there's a fly in this room and it's really pissing me off. But never mind about that. Let's have a look at a couple of these things. So for some reason on the 15-minute chart, we'll move on to the daily. For Bitcoin, we'll just have a brief look at what this looks like to me. And to be honest with you, it's neither here nor there. But one thing I could say is that there's an argument both ways. I think overall this chart looks overall bearish, but I do think that we're likely to come back up and test perhaps maybe even this kind of area, maybe even 9,300 at an absolute push. More than likely only going to come up to just where we touched today, or just about, which is basically the 9 EMA. The 10 EMA, the 10 simple is just about this area, and between these two areas is that CME gap. So I do think that there's two areas, there's two things that's likely to happen. I don't think we're going to break this formation and have a massive dump. I don't think we're going to be dumping anytime soon. I think what we're looking to do is probably come back down, maybe to test these lows, these areas here. So we've still got our golden cross, which is looking less golden at the moment, but it's still technically playing out. I think we're looking to come down to test these areas eventually. That area roughly going to be 8,500 to maybe as low as 8,400, so not a great deal between it. And also that's obviously the bottom of the Bollinger Band. Now we could have a dump that would spike us below there, basically getting people out of their positions, and then I think we're probably going to break bullish again after all of that. But at the moment, you know, we're in a really small, tight range, and it's a range that I'm not really very interested in playing. I'm not really bothered about Bitcoin at the moment because all eyes are on some of these small cap coins that are making really decent moves, and it appears to be just the small cap coins, and it's very rare that would ever really happen. And it's because the Bitcoin dominance is falling and some of these coins are rallying enormously. Plus, you know, even things like Ethereum are dumping, but they're dumping more or less at the same speed, or just a little bit less than Bitcoin. So as far as sats are concerned, they're neutral or maybe up a tiny bit. So dominance is falling, and because of that, it's allowing some of these small cap coins, which don't take a great deal of volume to get them to pump, because they're some of them are not even worth a penny. Do you know what I mean? So because of that, they're pumping quite hard. We're talking 20% or more on some of these coins in a day. And one of those coins that we all love on this channel is Matic. So let's have a little look at Matic. So first of all, I mean, I got in on Matic in this dump. I don't make very many videos these days because I'm just way too busy, but those on my Telegram chat, you knew I was waiting for this, and I picked some of this up around this level. I picked some up around here as well. So I've got a large position now holding Matic, but I'm getting a little bit worried, not worried, but a little careful as to where it's going. Now there's more to this than meets the eye. Yeah, the chart is bullish, and we've got a bullish cross here on the MACD, which has just taken place as of today. We've also got the this golden cross, which is clearly bullish. Now we're breaking up and above outside of the daily Bollinger Band, which usually would suggest we're going to come back inside it. We're going to need to come back inside. Now we're only just outside it a little bit. We're about this level here, so the idea for me is that we're likely to pull back into that area. But there's one thing that's happening as of today. I saw the tweet from Binance saying that, you know, there's $50,000 worth of Matic going for a trading competition, so incentivizing people to throw their money into Matic and chase those extra pennies, and it's causing a bit of a FOMO, which is really what is going on today. Now Matic is set up for a decent move anyway, with or without Binance saying that. There would have been a good move. It wouldn't have been the move that we saw today, but it would have been like that over time. The problem I got is with something like that is that you fundamentally, when things like that happen, you're encouraging FOMO, and it kind of breaks in a way the chart formation for me, rather than allowing something to grow organically, which is what was happening here. You know, and a lot of these small cap coins, or just alts in general, medium caps, I've been trading a lot of them at the moment. They all have a very similar chart, which is basically coming up, dancing around the center of the Bollinger Band, and consolidating, bouncing. They're very nice trades, pretty easy to trade on most of these. But now that we've got this FOMO wick, and it's likely to take a few more days of FOMO in, basically, or people chasing that that competition, which it's silly really, because there's money to be made in this. And you're never going to win. You're never going to win that. I mean, the 3 people win, but the thousands of other people that try to do that aren't going to be winning anything. And in fact, it's only a matter of time before you ultimately lose, because in a coin like Matic, it does like to dump quite hard, as we all remember here. So what I was saying really is that this was set up to be bullish anyway, which is why I got my cash in here and here. But now that we're having this FOMO week, it's making me a little nervous, because I can't account for what's likely to happen now, because there's this trading competition going on, and there's a release of a mainnet going on at the end of the month. I know they're rolling it out in stages. I'm not a fundamental type person, but I do know a little bit about what's going on with Matic. So the mainnet is rolling out in stages, and I think towards the end, or at the end of this month, or the very beginning of next month, one giant, long-awaited area of the mainnet is going to be released, which involves staking rewards, which incentivizes people to basically hold on to your Matic. And if you want to set up a node, a validator's node, you can do, and you obviously get rewarded for that. And so the more Matic you own, the more you get back. It's basically interest like you would find in your bank, but I'm assuming it's locked away and you can't trade it, which you've got to work out what, if you're a long-term believer in Matic, then great, do that. But if you're a trader like myself that like to trade other coins with my tether or my hard-earned cash, and I don't really like the idea of having things locked up. Either way, it's still a good thing, because it would mean that there are a lot of people who do believe in this, and I do believe in it. I like to free up my money to trade into other areas as well, as and when. It means that they'll be holding on to their Matic, which should prevent huge dumps from taking place. It should prevent that. It probably won't, but it should. The reason I say it won't is because this is a margin tradable asset now, so you can make money shorting it. So as all this lovely built up formation here can build all the way up, and it can reach an all-time high, and then it can just plummet down, because it's a small cap coin that's tradable through margin with a 5x leverage, which means that no matter how much you put into this, and how creative and constructive and predictable a chart looks, it's small cap. So if some medium-sized investor stroke whale decides that they want to dump the market, it wouldn't take a great deal for them to do that, because there's not much being traded. This is cryptocurrency in general doesn't have a great deal of money involved in it. You don't need to be a multi-billionaire to become a whale in an asset like Matic, which means that you could wield a hell of a lot of power if you wanted to, and there will be people out there that would like to do that, and no doubt will. So with or without the mainnet and the staking and the Binance competition, beware, because bears like to dump on us, as we see all the time with Matic. I mean, it just gets worse and worse, doesn't it? So that out of the way, let's have a look at some supports and resistances and work out where it is that we would like to take some profit and where we would like to get back in on this. And as we speak, Bitcoin is it's going down in value. It's getting devalued by the second almost. So that in itself is allowing for Matic's Satoshi values to increase, even if the tether value stayed static, which isn't happening. The opposite's happening. We're going up in tether and clearly going up in sats. So there's two aspects to this trade, which is the movement of Bitcoin, which appears to be wanting to go down ever so slightly, or not really moving much, staying in a relatively small range. And then you've got Matic, which is making giant moves, which is only going to stretch out the Satoshis. Right, so supports and resistance. First off, right this very second, right now, I'm very, very, very tempted to sell, and in fact I probably will when this video is over. I think at this level right now would be a good idea to sell, because the first area of resistance is going to be 0.25 cent. Okay, that would be our first area of resistance. Now when we look at 0.5 cent, sorry, 0.25 cent, we see that we touched it here on this rally. This is a nice rally. We touched it here twice and we couldn't take it. Came back up, didn't get close to it, and we never came back down to it again. Now we came up to it here, broke through it, came back and closed beneath it. We had a couple of other attempts, very strong attempts, but eventually came back down. And obviously this was the old Rona that did that to us as well. So this is our second attempt to try and basically beat the rally that took place before. Now I'm not saying, I love Matic, and Matic will probably do this before we know it, might even do it tonight, but personally it's always good to take profit and wait for those pullbacks. First opportunity to sell would be right this second, right now, to be honest, just before 25 cent. Look for a pullback, maybe in the next day, to bring us back into the Bollinger Band, just back inside to the Bollinger Band. Look at some of these areas where we launched from. So that was a giant wick that we had there, coming all the way back down to 2.1 cent. Very unlikely, but to come back within the Bollinger Band is quite likely. So we can stretch this out as much as we like. Probably closing within the Bollinger Band, around about 23 cent or so, wouldn't be far off. Now if we look at the sats, we are overreaching from this area now, and if we look at the centre of the Bollinger Band here, we're around about, the top of the Bollinger Band, we're around about 258 specifically. So it wouldn't be unreasonable to suggest that if we did pull back, we would pull back to this level at least, or at least close within this level, close the candle maybe tonight within that level, or consolidate back into that level by tomorrow. Now, like I say, we are talking about Matic here, so Matic doesn't really often follow the rules, especially with this incentivized pump that we're getting from Binance, plus the mainnet release, which clearly causes a pump. People still talking about Coinbase. People are always talking about Coinbase with Matic, but like I say, it doesn't necessarily follow any rhyme or reason when FOMO takes place, and this is FOMO. What's happening right now is FOMO, even though the chart looks great. So when we look at the RSI on Satoshis, we're all the way up here, 76. Now we can obviously get higher than that. We've been higher than that before. This is minuscule if you look at where we were before when we did that 4x basically. We reached all the way up to this level, which was a ridiculous level on the RSI, all the way up at 88. Usually 88 would be, anyone trading at 88 RSI, doesn't matter what you're trading, if you're up at that level on the RSI on a daily, then you've got balls of steel or literally nothing going on upstairs. You're just gambling. So where are we right now? We're not that high, are we? Really, we're not that high. We've still got plenty further to go, but we're not going to be reaching 88 any point soon, are we? We're looking for a nice consolidation back within inside this area. So if we measure this down, and we'll just measure it down on the sats and give a rough measure move. Now this isn't really any, we're talking very basic, very, very basic pullbacks here. So we're talking about a 7.5% pullback here on Satoshis, 7.5% on from its high here would bring us down to about 2.27, or we call it 2.3, which is kind of what I said before. That's the kind of area I'd be looking to buy it back at, and continue this rally. So I'm not talking about Matic's unlikely to dump with everything that's going on right now. Fundamentally things are strong for it. The chart's also strong, and it's very strong against Bitcoin, so it's not really too bothered about what Bitcoin's doing. It's doing its own thing, and like I say, fundamentally you've got all these things behind it which are looking to push it further. Now if we were to break through 2.5 cent, then the be all and end all for me, where we start to really see some big moves, is above 2.6 cent. This level of resistance goes all the way back to when we had our first FOMO. And if we just zoom in at this, when we bounced and started consolidating after that, having our downwards trend, more of a consolidation. This is basically a bear trend afterwards, which is what you'd expect after a giant move like that. We came up to 2.7 here, spent 3 days there, couldn't take it. We had another rally up to that level, a couple of days there, and we couldn't take it, and that's basically we weren't able to move past that. Now this area was where I was getting really excited when this rally began, because I was saying, all right, look, we're going to come up to 2.7 cent and we'll get rejected from it. We didn't actually. We burst right through it. It didn't mean a single thing. We came all the way up to basically 3 cent. and you could say that we more or less bounced from it there, which is looking good, and then we launched all the way up from it. So 2.7 cent to me still at this point now is a resistance area that I would expect some form of rejection from, depending on how strong Matic's looking. I would expect that. Now you can see here when we closed on these wicks recently, this is our most recent pump, it was the 2.7. No, it wasn't. 2.7 was where we closed beneath it each time, and so we did reach the 2.9, but each of these candles here couldn't take it. They stayed within just above 2.5 and 2.7. So this little area should really be a blue box. Really, I just like my lines instead. Maybe I'll make a need to chart when we chart this. I'll try and make these videos more frequently. I'm just very, very busy. Got so much going on at the moment. It's difficult to get these videos out, but join my Telegram group, and there's a link on my video for that. Join the Telegram group, chip in, especially if you're a Matic fan. We're all big Matic fans. Most of the coins that we trade in my little community on my Telegram chat, most of them are these small caps and stuff like that. Obviously we do trade Bitcoin, but there's a lot of quite knowledgeable people in there, very active traders. So yeah, feel free to join in. Anyway, I've deviated from the point there. The point being that taking profit here wouldn't be an unwise decision. I think today, I think we've had our move for the moment, and I would be looking for a pullback. Now, if we don't get that pullback, it's not the end of the world. We'll be getting pullbacks in these areas here. Either the 2.7 cent will get a pullback, and we'll see where that takes us. Also gave us a chance to see the nature of the rest of the market as well. There will be pullbacks along the way. Mainnet's not released until the end of this month, so I'm expecting this FOMO to continue because the competition's continuing. The mainnet isn't released until the end of the month. I would be expecting the FOMO to continue trickling fast and steady, but with pullbacks along the way. You could essentially, you might be saying to me, why don't you just hold it? You've held it from this area here, you bought more here, why don't you just hold it? You're still in profit. It's not really the way I want to go, because if I sell here and it pulls back, and it pulls back further than I want, essentially all of that pullback is profit to me. If it goes on and upwards and I've missed out, I'm not going to join the FOMO. I'll leave it. I want to see it pull back, and if it doesn't pull back, I'll just wash my hands of it. There's plenty more fish in the sea, plenty more opportunities of other coins to trade, and in many ways, holding tether when Bitcoin looks a little bit like this isn't such a bad idea anyway. So that would be my trading plan. That's my setup. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not financial advice, but this channel that I run here, it was more or less founded on trading Matic, and we've done very well out of that. The people who follow me know that Matic is pretty much the main coin that made this channel, and all the people that are interested in it. So it's always going to be the chart that I trade and the coin that I trade. But bear in mind, like I say, I do trade it. I'm not an investor. I'm a trader. Primarily a trader, and this is my highest risk asset, but probably the one I'm most well acquainted with, and so I'm quite familiar with the way it moves. And like I say, I'm also very, very cautious, and I do not ever want to be greedy with Matic, because it does like to dump in your face, and there's nothing worse than having a dump in your face. Anyway, I do appreciate you sticking around and watching this video. Like I say, I will try and make more, and I don't beg for subscribers, but you can subscribe if you like. And if not, no hard feelings. I hope you have a nice evening. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.